This is episode 241. I don't want to learn about doors.
In this episode, I actually control myself and don't tell all of the stories about my personal life that I could have. So,
well done.
Yeah. I'm still back patting right now. Yeah. Ding.
It's the tone control.
Yep. Finger guns. Oh my gosh.
That's all I got today, man.
I am actually really impressed with how not late we are, all things considered, considering what was going on today. I have had so much stuff that could be story time with Justin on the tone control that I literally have my notes app open so that I can keep track of it all.
Just writing down so many stories.
Honestly, like I feel like I'm gonna need to get like an up and down on some of these from you, because like, should I even talk about that, and so on and so forth, you know? You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like I could talk for like an hour about the bullshit that's been going on this week. There's some good stuff and there's a lot of bullshit, and right up to the minute tonight, like, oh my God. So I don't know. I mean, there's portions of it that I guess are sort of guitar/music related. So I could just carve off the nonsense that people probably don't want to hear.
Just like fade it out slowly and fade in your music story.
A montage of
Just Events would be a great segment.
Boy, that's a segment we've done a lot and never named.
Never named, yeah. It's because we never named it that we keep doing it. I think that's why.
Oh, right, because of the tone control tradition of creating a segment that we stopped doing immediately.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I honestly don't know how you want to tackle this week, man. Apparently there's a couple of news things going on ish.
Got a D20 here.
Oh shoot. Well,
you want to RNG your stories? Like, which ones? I think we should like stick to the music one probably, and then maybe the non-music one can be post-show, or maybe we got to plan the June hangout still.
We do. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that I could talk about. Okay. Like at least 5 of them are kind of epic things, but
so I got a D8 then.
Okay,
and we'll just say.
So what
if we roll a 1, we re-roll? How about that? Okay. Or we roll an 8, we'll re-roll.
And we've got to like space. We got to pace ourselves, right? So we should sprinkle in some actual tone control stuff, right? Like something that'll keep the person who signed up for this podcast because it was ostensibly about guitars and music gear and stuff. Just keep them on the hook a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you roll a 1, you both.
So you got to care. I have this enormous seltzer is what I have. This seltzer that like is so big Liquid it won't fit in frame.
Yeah. I've got, this is also seltzer. So
this is a Red Bull sized can. This is Trader Joe's sparkling watermelon juice, which is like, oh my God, absolutely killer.
Yeah. This is watermelon infused seltzer.
Look at this nonsense.
Oh my God.
This can is here to fuck.
This is like, are you two sisters?
Absolute thirst murderer. Anyway, so I think if we roll an 8, that means we'll re-roll.
Okay.
Right, because you have 7 things.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do first?
Okay.
Like, do you want to do a story or do you want to do a podcast thing?
I think, so we usually start with some catch up, right? So I figure the beginning is fair game. I can do a story, and maybe we'll stick with a relevant one.
Okay.
Because that's probably okay. All right. So, no, Matt's upset. Okay. I promise I will there are 2 important bullshit kind of stories, and I'll probably just lump them all together and stuff so I can do them kind of quick. But so first of all, this since we've recorded last, I was prepping for this big massive session, which I honestly like up until a couple of days before, I was honestly wondering if it was going to fall apart and not even happen. But so this has been kind of in planning for like a month and a half, and then but it was physically large session. So we had 31 inputs. There was an orchestra.
Holy smokes.
This is the largest session as far as the number of inputs that I've ever been a part of. I've had more people in the room, but I was doing them as group mics, you know what I mean? So it was like different for a choir. But this is all individually mic'd orchestra. It was a guy composed this piece that's sort of, I don't know if neoclassical is the right word, but we had drum set, we had hand percussion, we had a string quartet, bass, cello, viola, violin. We had a wind orchestra of, let's see, oboe, bassoon, flute. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't think there was a clarinet. I had an accordion, I had an acoustic guitar, I had a mandolin, and then I had 5 vocalists. So I had stab, you know, and then plus a soloist. And then and all of that. So I had room mics. It was not Ingve. And we don't normally do things like this. So it was happening at the monastery. The room's big enough, but we don't even have 31 microphones, and we're definitely not equipped to hook them all up. I actually brought equipment from my studio to add mic preamps to the studio at monastery. So the possible points of failure, it's like, that's not going to work. After we get it working, the computer's going to fall over under this many inputs recording at once. All these things we've never tested. We're going to run into too many mic cables that don't work or microphones that fail on us. All these things. Just that many people in the room. The sound is just not right because there's just too much going on. All of these things could have been a possibility. Oh, shoot. The kid's calling me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, baby, you're going to have to turn the pillow over. All right? She spilled her water and her pillow's wet.
Oh, no.
It's hot anyway. A story for a few minutes from now. Oh, my God. I'm going to be cutting this out. There's no way I'm going to leave this in. Okay, baby, night-night. Love you.
Poor kid.
It's a weird night because of all the crap that's been going on. So, okay. But anyway, the point is, without dragging this on too much, it was super busy and it was stressful, but I had a lot of good help. I had a couple of new but really helpful interns. Oh my God. Hey, sweetheart, I'm on my podcast. We can't keep talking, okay? Okay, I love you. Bye. Please don't call again.
Lots of good interns. That's good.
Yes, lots of good interns. There was another guy who is a qualified engineer, like a working engineer, who also came. He rents a room in the back of the monastery as like a secondary studio, and he turned up to help, which was super helpful because he knew the headphone system. They have a new headphone system there, and he knew it better than me because he gets to use it all the time, and brought in extra headphones. And just, oh my God, there was another intern, Luke, who I've worked with several times, who turned up and helped. So
you guys are just like pulling together whoever's around.
It was like everybody descended, and I was really glad for it because I got in this frame of mind. Like, for me, the thing that's hard for me is I'm very hands-on about this because I'm usually working alone. So it was like realizing that I actually can't do everything. I have to be a manager, and like, if something isn't working right, I literally don't have time. I have to say, somebody go figure out what's wrong with that mic, and I need to move on to the next problem. Or like
delegating. So
we did a setup the day before. We spent like half a day doing setup before before the actual day, just to make sure. And like, I was like, okay, guys, here's the input list. Please start putting mics on stands and just cabling them. And then I realized I have to figure out what preamps every one of these mics is going to go into.
Yeah.
And nobody else can do that. So I literally can't help them because that's my instinct, right? It's like, if I'm doing something, I always do things with the interns because of course I would, and I can't. Yeah. I had to go in the other room and navigate the computer for a while. But it all happened. and the recording happened. And the musicians were amazing. And they turned up. Many of them were literally sight reading because we couldn't really have the budget for a bunch of rehearsals. And they were, for like the 2 hours that they had scheduled for prep before Downbeat, it was like raising hands. I'm super confused about this. I have no idea what's going on in this part of the song. Can you go over this with me? It sounds like it's a mess. And then Downbeat, and they played it. Like, and my microphones worked, and oh my God.
That's fucking great. Like, yeah. When stuff is just like, it's like whenever this is not the same thing at all, but like when we bring a new song to rehearsal and it's like, well, I guess we're going to play it now.
And you get to the end.
This, like, yeah. And it's like, well, we've all practiced at home. Like we all know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Trust everybody. But it's like, we've never played it together. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen? And then you get through it and you're like, wow. Look at us.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
That is how I felt. We got, and I popped at the first take, like kind of happened, and I popped out of the studio and I was like, everybody's clapping. They got to the end, they're all applauding, and I was like, yes, you friggin' did it. It was great. And
that's awesome.
And because nobody's named, I can say there's one funny thing is when I was kind of fine placing the microphone. So everything's like rough placed and they're rehearsing, and I'm going around I'm the head engineer. So let me just like adjust and make sure things are just the way I want them to be. When I get to the oboe player, I'm using a dynamic mic with her, and I'm putting it kind of, it's sort of off to the side of her music stand, kind of just in the general area. It's maybe 12 inches from her instrument. And she reacts to that. And she's like, usually it'd be farther away. It's going to sound pretty weird if you're this close. And I'm like, I know, but the farther away I am, the more we're just going to be miking the accordion. So we're actually just going to. And then she also thought it should be over her head and stuff. And I'm like, well, really, the proximity is my main weapon in this room because there's all these people, right? That's kind of the most important thing. And it's like, I can fix this. I know what I need to do, But then she starts telling me, and she actually said to a couple of other people too, a couple of the interns who were moving around, that she thought the microphone should be over her head.
Is this the conversation of where does the sound come from on your instrument?
Right. And one of the string players mentioned that most of the sound comes from the F hole. And I'm like, well, I actually don't want the sound that comes from the F hole exclusively because that's just tone and I want to hear the bow. You know what I mean?
Right.
So in both cases, I'm like, I'm sure you're awesome at your instrument, right? So you should do that. Yeah. And they do, and everything was fine. Yeah. But we chuckled when we all gathered in the control room, that all the tech crew gathered in the control room. I said that she'd said that to me, and one of the interns was like, yeah, she was saying stuff like that to me too. And she probably didn't know one of us from the other, right? You know what I mean?
Sure,
which is fine. You're like, absolutely, she should treat
just all people who work
here should be treated the same. And I was like, this is like, I wouldn't put a microphone in the bell of a saxophone either. Actually, you could sort of get away with that though, because that's also the middle of the instrument. But that's, you know what I mean? Like, unless it's a trumpet, you don't mic the bell. Yeah. I don't mic the end of the flute. You know what I mean?
Right, or the bottom of a clarinet, like the sound is coming out of the front of it.
The sound just emanates from sort of the middle of the instrument. The whole instrument tube is what's resonating.
Dude.
Yeah.
Okay, that reminds me of something, but I don't want to derail you.
No. This is fine. That was the icing on the cake.
I just have an early suggestion of the week, I guess. Yeah. Because your conversation about like where's the sound happening in your instrument reminded me of a recent episode of Dipped in Tone, which is Rhett Shull and Zach Broyles' podcast. Yep. They interviewed Andy Powers, who is the CEO and lead designer at Taylor Guitars.
Oh, right on.
And that dude is so fucking smart. It's humbling. It's like, crazy. So this guy's talking about like all the changes, like do tone woods matter? Like that conversation. And he brings a totally different angle on the whole thing. Really good listen.
Oh,
and he kind of talks about like,
on the list.
He kind of talks about like miking up acoustics and plugging in acoustics and piezo pickups and like how it's never just one aspect, right? The sound of your guitar is not from the sound hole. The sound is not from the top. The sound is like in and around the space surrounding the instrument.
Yeah.
And so they talk a little bit about like, how do you put that through a PA, right? How do you put that into an acoustic electric pickup? But it's a really, really good listen. The guy is like gets into like, the crystalline nature of piezo pickups and like what's going on electrically and stuff like that. It's very cool. Very good listen.
That's awesome. That is stuff that I want to know more about.
You'd love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do that. Unlike most of what I've learned this week, which I was forced to learn, and is stuff that I don't want to know about. So, the stories. Okay, so I did. That's the. Hey, Eric. I assume that's Eric, Wild and Crazy Guy. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. If you don't recognize the name, you got a pretty good chance of it being Eric.
Yep. Okay, so that was the big music thing. We should let's do something from actual tone control notes now. Or hold on, Derek, how are you?
Oh. Found out today Jack has another ear infection.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're bringing an ear infection on vacation.
It's fine.
And it's fine. But, the medicine's like, you got to take it in the morning. So we can't start until tomorrow. And that means tonight's just guaranteed to be shit.
Oh, no.
Which is very kind of stupid and annoying. And he's teething.
Yeah.
He's cutting a top tooth. He's got 3.5 teeth. So it's just a tough time. Yeah. Tonight was particularly tough. And I was chatting in the server earlier. Like, I'm sure you remember this. Did you ever get like phantom baby cries?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
After your baby's down of an evening of terror and wildness.
You're like you're really on alert and you're just you're like traumatized by it.
The storm has calmed, but you're like, is he up? What is that? What was that? Is he up? Every fucking sound, and it's like, and you're just so ready to be like frustrated, and so it was one of those hard nights. And what's tough is like we get him home, he was great. He's like really close to walking. So we're like having a lot of fun with that. We went outside with his walker and he was cruising up and down the road, and we live on a really quiet street. So he's like cruising up and down the street, like smiling, laughing. And we get him inside for dinner and he's like, fuck you. And just, he absolutely tanks really hard, really fast. So it was like run through everything as fast as possible. Try to get him to eat, try to get him to take a bath, try to get him to go to sleep. And it was just that, like, we missed it. We missed it by 30 seconds. And so today was rough.
Yeah. I mean, with the kid who's not feeling well and stuff, but yeah, I remember the knowing that if you just caught something by like a minute or 30
like 2
seconds.
minutes. Yeah.
I remember that from nap time aria. If you got the nap right, the stakes were so high, right? Because if you did it right, you would have such a better time, and you'd have like, this bit of downtime in the middle, and everything was great. And if that girl closed her eyes for a second before she was where she could stay,
supposed to,
you know what I mean? It was not going to happen, and everything else was going to it was going to snowball from that. So that phrase. Yep.
So it's just been like a tough time, and he's been cranky for like 3 or 4 or 5 days just with all this shit that's going on, and it's just got me and Beth like, we're keeping it together, but it's overwhelming at times, and you're just like, you're so focused on like keeping your cool and like getting through the moment that you're like not parenting well. You're just like mission driven, and you're not like, you're just moving through the steps, and it's hard to remember to like console this upset person rather than just like move them to the next phase. So, because they're like, they're out of control. They don't know what's going on. They're upset.
Yeah.
So he's got that whole like, when he's upset now, the head throws back. And if you're not holding him right, he'll like spill backwards and stuff. Last night he got up. This is my last kid thing, I promise. He was like really cranking, like really truly upset bad in the crib. And you can tell, like, real tears, fake tears. Well, sorry, real tears, no tears. Like, that's kind of the defining line for him. I pick him up, and he's got all fours pushing against my chest, like, get off of me kind of thing. And I'm like, I've nowhere to put you. And I'm like holding him out.
This will cause you harm.
Yeah. And I'm like, you were just super upset that you were in the crib, and now he's like, put me down. And it was just all over the place. So, but he should be good to go once he can start his antibiotics tomorrow morning.
Boy, they kick in. They do. They kick in quick and really take the edge off. But man, I've never even heard of one that you couldn't start in the night.
I asked about it, and they like just repeatedly mentioned like, yeah, so start it in the morning.
Okay.
Just as like a
There must
do it
be
in
a
the
reason.
morning. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And it's also like the one antibiotic you don't refrigerate. You know, there's some other stuff about it.
Yeah,
So
I've run into those. Refrigerating this will kill it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of an odd thing, but whatever. Just,
okay. All right.
and then, you know,
This
anyway,
too shall
I can go
pass.
on. I'm working on possibly starting a dad podcast with a friend of mine.
Ooh, okay.
So don't worry, everybody. The baby talk will leave the tone control, I'm pretty sure.
Boy, yeah. If there's another outlet, this might clean up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
So,
all right.
Anyway, I'll mention that if that becomes a real thing. What do you think of the name Dad Pod? Like Dad Bod?
Right. And it's one word, right? Dad Pod?
Probably. Yeah, the Dad Pod.
Have we
I don't know.
Googled
I haven't
it?
pitched that to my buddy.
You should definitely like.
No, not yet. I haven't done anything.
Okay.
But we're just sort of brainstorming like names and ideas and like what we like and dislike from other podcasts and stuff. And he's on vacation right now, so we're just gonna reconvene in a few weeks. But yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think of a clever name like Dad Bod.
Yeah.
The Dad Bod Pod. Like
Dad Bod Pod. I for some reason like better than just Dad Pod, but it doesn't mean it's actually better. But
I listened to one called The Cool Dad Collective. From a guy in Australia. It's very good.
Yeah.
I like it. Just saying.
Cool. Dad podcast. Anyway, so what's in the world of the tone control and not just us personally, there's a spot of news. And I'll go ahead and announce the spot of news with the sound so that I can find it easy for the YouTube thing. Well, that one went.
The deco.
That was the deco. Yeah, you nailed it. That one went on a bit. Okay. I'm on the wrong window here. Here we go. Hey, check this out.
Hey, everybody, guess what?
YouTube viewers. So what am I looking at
here? Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Grow your business with MailChimp. We're making... This is not sponsored by MailChimp, but hey.
But I mean...
You know, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
We are starting a newsletter. We are starting an email newsletter because nobody asked.
A news emailer. Because nobody wanted it.
Yes, because nobody wanted it. But here's the thing. We were trying to think of a way to collect entries for our giveaway that's coming up this year. And we wanted to keep it simple. We wanted to keep it off of social media. I don't really care for the stuff. Yeah. I hate it when stuff is like, tag 3 friends, follow this account, follow that account, reshare this with hashtag giveaway, whatever. Like that's too much work. I never enter that shit because I don't care.
Right. And I mean, that's kind of the main other option, right? It's like either we kind of do it ourselves or we go with the Gleam thing that everybody uses. It costs money. We're definitely not going to pick out all those like retweet the XYZ and like tag 4 friends business. So the only thing we're going to put on it is sign up, right? You know what I mean? Anyway, so here we are.
We figured sign up for our email newsletter and you're in. Full stop.
Yeah.
If you want to come off, and this is true, right, Justin? This is true. I'm checking with you right now for future giveaways as well.
I don't see any reason why we'd change. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to leave the newsletter, that's fine. I get it. Like I am protective of my inbox as well. But you want to be in on giveaways, you can come and go. I get that. Yeah, but just a heads up, like if you're on the newsletter, we're entered to win. So it's just going to be one entry per person. Very simple. Yeah. We're still working on the details of the giveaway. I actually went to buy the guitar we were going to give away a few days ago, and it had sold from our local store in the time between like me talking to them online and getting to the store.
Yeah, we discussed it. We were like, yes. And then talks to the retailer. And then by the time you drive over there.
Yeah, 30, 45 minutes later.
Which I mean, I take as a good sign that we've picked a worthy thing. By the way, have we said that we were giving away a guitar for our 10th anniversary?
I think, we've been talking about it. Like, it wouldn't be cool if we could. But yeah, so let's say this. We are giving away a guitar.
Yeah.
and it's not like a Squire Affinity series. Like we're giving away a good guitar.
Yeah, I mean it's not a Gibson custom shop. Let me just say that right at the top. But we also we're not just like finding some throwaway Walmart thing, and we actually really dig what we picked out.
You're right. Availability is proving to be difficult, so like we're just working on that.
But it's the giveaway's going to happen in the fall, so it's like I mean,
so
we'll be able to get.
I still don't want to. I don't want to quite announce specifically what the model is yet, just because in case we have to pivot and can't find one. But we're also going to be giving away a cable from Rattlesnake Cables, friends of the show. I'm going to throw in a pedal from my collection into this, so you're getting one of my pedals. It's actually from a New Hampshire builder, which is kind of cool. And we're working on some other cool, fun, tidbitty things that we're probably not ready to share.
That we're not ready. Yeah, some still secret stuff.
So
that may or may not be.
and like other stuff like
talked about like and not put on camera a couple of times already.
And we'll do some stuff like tone control koozies. We've got piles of stickers and stuff around, I'm sure, that kind of thing. So anyway, the newsletter will pretty much be monthly. Like I'm not looking to overload you with daily emails or anything because I have a life.
Yeah.
I got things to do.
As we've been talking about, there's shit that goes on.
Yeah, right. I got a sick kid.
But I mean things. Yeah, some basic stuff like not everybody is in Discord all the time. Even Discord users aren't. I know there are plenty of people who don't get around to it all the time, and that's kind of has become our de facto place where we talk about stuff. So there's people who are Patreon supporters of the show who aren't getting
we don't
updated.
Really hear from.
Yeah, and they're not getting updated on like, we're doing a supporters hangout, or we're doing this other thing, and they don't really find out. And people often don't you get an episode or 2 or 3 or 4 behind. Like that happens. When you're listening to podcasts. So maybe they don't even know about other stuff. So anyway, I think this is good. You're supposed to have a mailing list, right?
10 years on. Yeah, let's do it.
You're supposed to have it. So we're going to get one.
So it'll contain like links to most recent episodes and probably a short list of our picks of the week if you want to find those just there instead of, grabbing it from the show notes.
We do some other fun rundowns and stuff of what happened in the episode is a good idea.
Yeah, other tone control, sort of administrative detail, and maybe special little surprises here or there. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I don't even know what that means, but like maybe.
So find a way. So the link is in the notes, and the link I'm sure is going to be in Discord and on the website and stuff like that. So find a way to wander yourself in there sometime between now and September.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're really blowing it. Let me just say that.
Yeah. The newsletter link is pinned in our announcements channel in Discord. So if you're in Discord, you can find it there. I'll also make sure it's saved up on our Instagram page that we don't use very much. So, my whole thing is like, look, you see how often we post on social media. Figure the email is probably going to be like that.
This isn't something to be afraid of. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the deal. So coming to your inbox this summer.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
I've been fiddling with this D8 here since.
Okay. So do you want to do story? All right. Let's do it. You roll the D8. I'm going to punctuate another sound here. I'm going to do something short. Let's try to do something short. I'll just do this one.
Get after it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, here we go. We rolled an 8. We're going to re-roll. I rolled a 7.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna roll all of the house crap up into one. We're not really gonna tell that many stories because it's gonna be ridiculous. The things I've had to do this week, we're getting ready to go on a trip. We're actually going to be getting together. The Derek family and the Justin family are going to be getting together as we do occasionally, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But I've had to kind of accelerate some plans and make sure some things around the house got done. And because of the way the schedules are working out, like that included resealing our concrete patio which I put off for way too long, which meant I had to scrub the whole thing down. And I like didn't play. This is all like extra stuff that I'm trying to keep up with work because I don't want to be working when we're on our trip. And like, I'm just and it's hot as hell and I'm breaking my body, like cleaning the whole backyard, mowing everything. All of this happened this week and it's sort of like this amazing blur now, but then it's also not rained. It's like everything couldn't have gone more wrong. I'm having to do this crap in the backyard. It's super hot. I finally get the patio sealed. We can't be on it for a while. There's no rain. All the grass is dying. All of my sprinklers break that I occasionally get out to water the lawn when I need to. So I'm like trying to find good sprinklers and new hoses and stuff. And this is one of the things I mean, like I'm learning way too much about hoses and sprinklers and how they work. Like I don't want to know this, but I have to learn it.
I get that. I get that. Like I just had something recently that was like, I don't want to have to learn about. We were thinking of redoing our front door. And I'm like, I don't understand why this door is $1,600 and the next one is $6,000. And I don't want to learn why.
Yeah. But obviously there's a reason, an expensive reason.
I have to fucking learn a reason. Yeah. Like I have to learn at least a little about fucking doors. Yeah. So
it's anyway. Like, it's like bit by bit, I'm like buying a thing, hooking it up, finding out it doesn't work the way I want, researching a little more. Now that I sort of have tried this thing, now I understand the difference between the metal one and the plastic one. I'm like, oh shit. And back to the store, buy a different thing, trying that out. I finally got some good sprinklers going today, but then our air conditioner stops cooling. And
so it's just blowing.
It's just blowing and it's not getting cold. And I can hear the compressor. I mean, I know enough like general mechanical knowledge. And I'm like, okay, so the compressor isn't running, but the fan's still going. It's not a breaker. It's not a fuse. I pull the thing apart and look for squirrels. And the glaring issue. Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking it up and I'm reading about it. And I'm like, this isn't that complicated a machine, but I don't want to know about this. I don't want to have to know about an AC unit, but I feel like I'm the sort of person I know enough to be dangerous about so many things that I'm always tempted. And it's like, I call people, they can't get to me till Monday. They can't get to me till Thursday. All this stuff. I'm going to be gone.
How hot is it there?
It has been it's been slowly going down, but like, since last week, we've been low 90s. Today was like 84, which is like the coolest day in a while.
It's been weird here.
Yeah.
Not that hot, yeah.
So I mean, I just everything. I all this outside crap, and I think I'm finally all set. And then podcast day, and the AC goes out, and I'm calling people. Nobody can get to me. I look at the machine, and I'm like, there's literally, as far as I can tell, there's two parts that this could be, and they're both like less than $30 parts if I could get to the store and get them, but I can't because I have to pick up Aria and I have to do this thing, and Marielle's at class and nobody can cover for me. And it's like, and my multimeter, apparently, I didn't realize it, I have like a sort of a cheapy multimeter. It won't read microfarads. It won't measure capacitance. So there's a big capacitor in an AC unit, and I'm like, the compressor won't run, but the fan is running. I think it's the capacitor. I think it's under power anyway.
Yeah.
And so what drives me nuts is I'm right. I eventually get somebody, I decide I can't measure it to test it. I can't buy one at the store anyway. So I call a bunch of places. Somebody calls me back on the drive home from picking up Aria. They say they can come. So I'm like, all right, great. Comes out. It is that capacitor. It's the first thing he checks. And it is that. He replaces it. It's fixed. I'm like, he's like, do you want to sign up for our contract our maintenance contract? And I'm looking at the cost of this repair versus the very small extra cost to have them for a whole year. And I'm like, you know what? Yes.
Yeah. Why not?
Absolutely. And
dude,
so I'm annoyed
I get that.
I could have just replaced that part. Like I literally could have, but I didn't really know. And
if you did replace that part, it would have been the other part.
It might have been.
That's how that shit works.
Right, exactly.
That's the Murphy's Law of it all. Yeah, I get that, where you're just like, it's one thing after another.
Yeah.
And just when you let your guard down a little, it's like, hey, guess what just broke? That's the joy of home ownership.
It was hot box in here. And the cold air, since we've started the episode, the cold air has been coming down on me because it got up to like 80 degrees in the house. Luckily, not that bad today, but yeah.
I'm going to talk about the weather for another second. We had 3 days of like 90 plus here.
Ooh.
And then thunderstorms rolled through.
Okay.
And it has been #sweater weather for the weekend. It went from, I'm not kidding, 95 to 45 in 12 hours or something. So it's been weird.
Wow.
And today it was only about 60. It's been like high 50s. Man. High 50s after 3 days of low 90s. It's been nuts.
Holy cow. Oh, man. Well, that's all my, well, no, wait, there's one more bad piece of story. So I have,
save it.
I have
one
more.
You want to like tip on that?
I have a good story and a bad story. So we'll save them.
Okay.
I roll all the house ones together. I love it. All right. So let's do, nope, already played that one today. Let's play this one. And to answer, because I wasn't looking at that before, yes, we are getting together IRL, but we will be between recordings and have no reason to record anything to do with the tone control when we're together. So,
well, you know what we should do? We should take a picture and put it in the newsletter.
Oh my God, that'd be so great.
Yeah, man.
So back to this.
I got a couple of new pedals. Our local shop. I'm like stuck. Hang on. My rolly mat broke, so I'm like just raw dogging the carpet.
Oh no. Oh my God. Okay.
I did get new wheels. I got new casters for my chair that are like carpet friendly, but I'm just like not quite used to them. The movement's very different now. So anyway, so I'm playing through my Rev right now, and I got a couple of new pedals. I got on sale. Our local shop, Manchester Music Mill, was doing this awesome spring sale, like a Memorial Day thing.
Yeah.
Minimum 20% off, like everything in store. So like really good, and including used gear. So they had a used Golden Fleece from Mythos and a used Argonaut from Mythos that I got 20% off. I basically got both pedals. I did get both pedals for the price of the Golden Fleece new.
Nice.
140. Yeah. So I got and they're both in like brand new condition. They both have the current artwork, which not that matters, but there's been like a few versions where the artwork changes.
Okay.
So I got the Golden Fleece here as a fuzz, just a simple one knob fuzz.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, is their logo typically the ram's head thing? Is that a Mythos
That's the
thing?
logo for the pedal.
Okay, so that's for the pedal. Because I was like, either that lines up really well, and that's one of their typical logos, but I like that Golden Fleece, and it's like a ram's head. Anyway,
yeah,
I got a kick out of it.
So it's cool, and like you can bring it down a little bit. Very responsive to the volume control on your guitar.
Yep.
So now we're up at like 3 o'clock. I'll bring my volume down. I'll do like a cool, weird, crunchy. Bring it up.
That's great.
Yeah, man. So, used for $80, absolutely.
Damn right.
Really fun. And then the Argonaut is a no knob, mostly clean octave up. So it's just like a clean Octavia. So it doesn't do anything but just give you an analog octave up.
It has one
which
job.
Which is very cool because it has one job and one LED and that's it.
Yeah.
And I really love octave fuzz. It's not really in the music I play, but I do. It's one of my favorite guitar sounds. This is great because
that
I
a
can.
Funny concept. that
I
you
know.
just touch on and leave. Like,
what, that it's like not in my music?
it's not in my sound, but boy, do I love that sound. It's like, what?
It's my favorite. It's like one of my favorite tones. I just don't play it. But the cool thing about having it in a separate box is you can add an octave up to any of your other overdrives or like any of your other pedals. So now everything I have is an octave fuzz. So it's cool. So here's my clean. And with the octave, it turns into this weird like ring moddy trashy thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But is Discord like chewing that and spitting it out?
No. I mean, I think I can hear it. The octave is a particularly tough one for Discord because half the time it almost sounds like it's doing that when you aren't using an octave because of its weird sound. But I get it. Yeah.
So with the fuzz, right?
Yeah.
And of course, like you neck pick up over the 12th fret with it.
Oh, shoot.
So it's very cool. It has that like really weird harmonic thing to it. I've not played guitar in many days, so I hate my playing right now, but irrelevant. So, it just gets all trashy and out of control, you know?
Yeah. Stays really present even with the distortion.
Yeah, so the octave is, I haven't opened it up, but I think there's a little trim pot. So it definitely boosts when it's turned on. Like it hits everything harder.
Yeah.
But it's not like overwhelmingly loud.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a cool thing to kick on for a lead that just gives it this little like extra snarl in a fun way. But I mean, the Argonaut is 120 new. I've been watching them on Reverb. Weirdly, people try to sell them for more money, even though you can just go buy one right now. Separate issue.
You get away with that?
I don't know.
Should message them, hey, you can't do that.
That's against the rules.
Yeah, you're breaking the rules, man.
Yeah, hey, what the fuck? But, you know, again, used, I got it $63 or something like that. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a fun pedal. That's walking around money. What is this?
Jesus. Okay. Oh my God, there we have it.
So yeah, couple cool pedals.
What are you gonna do, right?
Fucking nothing. You're not gonna do anything about it.
Nothing, dude.
I'd like to see you try.
Yeah.
Try doing nothing.
Try it. Oh my God.
Oh boy. Oh, we can move on. I guess I forgot I added this to the show notes. Forgot I added this whole topic because I was like, boy, we don't have a show because my life is crazy.
Okay, yeah. One more.
Hold on. Oh. That's a Justin demo.
Yes. That's the Holy Dove. Mercy Seat.
Cool. I was gonna say Mercy Seat. Yep. So we've had some good episodes, right? And now we're failing. But we've had some good episodes with good discussion, and they've brought good discussion over into Discord, which I've been really happy about. And I thought of one for today that I'm hoping that you have more to talk about it than I do, because I have like one thing to say about it, but I'm curious.
Maybe this is something that's going to circle back in the between episodes discussion, but
yeah. So I just want to know, are there any guitar and music best practices or good ideas that you should probably do, but don't? Mine is wiping down your strings after playing.
Oh my God, I've never done that actually, I think I did that. I did that briefly when I was a bass player in a metal band because it was the sweatiest I've ever been in my entire life.
So I bought some strings from Stringjoy the other day, and they have like a microfiber String Joy branded cloth just for like guitar maintenance and stuff.
Swank.
And it was like $4. And I was like, this is it. I'm going to buy the cloth and I'm going to start wiping down my string. So it should be here in a few days.
My new resolution.
Yeah. But I'll keep it like with my gear. I'll keep it in my guitar case when I'm on the go. So wish me luck on this journey.
Good luck in your journey.
Of string wiping.
In your cleanness.
Yeah. But I know it makes a real difference. Like, I know that is a thing you should probably do. Like, yeah, you should probably do that. And every time I'm like, I see someone else do it, I just go, damn it. I'd always forget to do that.
Me too.
Always.
Me too. All right. My dog's coming up to say hi. Hello.
Oh, your dog is just like, love me right now.
Right now. I need you. She's upset because I didn't feed them and let them out before the podcast because our technician was here. So I actually had them in the studio so that they wouldn't be barking. Soon.
Have you seen those videos of they're just like dogs at a park or dogs at a daycare or something like that, where they have like a very tiny microphone connected to the camera and they put it up to the dog for like an interview and they just sniff it really quick and it's like right in their nostril.
Because the sniffing is always unbelievably fast. It's this anatomically impossible lung movement. It's amazing.
It's like one of my favorite niches of internet video is just interviewing dogs and all they do is sniff the microphone.
That is hilarious. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. She's been whining for this whole recording just about. So
I have heard that, and I'm doing the thing where I'm like, is it my baby?
Oh no.
Like I'm having the phantom baby cry thing. Yeah.
No, it was my baby whining. Oh.
Whoa.
And now she decided to jump on her brother.
She's like, you're talking about me. I'm going to stir some shit.
She is. She's prancing all around him, trying to get him going, and he's not having it.
So anyway, Justin, are there any things in your music world that you're like,
I'll tell you one big one.
Be better about that.
I'll tell you one big one that comes to mind right away. I
don't save my files.
Fucking practicing the actual instrument.
All right, that doesn't count because no one does that.
Okay. I bet fucking Eric does, dude.
Practices?
Yeah.
He's not in the chat anymore.
No.
But I mean, he's a guitar teacher. Do you have to practice when you're a teacher?
But
maybe that's why he became a teacher.
You see what he shares in Discord though. Like every day he's like, he's got like sheet music out and stuff every day. Anyway.
But I think that's for like this is for my students today and this is what we're working on.
Maybe I don't know. He does like shows like he does like he's like pit band at a show or something. I remember a while ago that was some talk for a while.
Yeah.
He was doing anyway.
But like, I don't know. I'm trying to learn even flow from Pearl Jam, which is very frustratingly not in tune. Does that count? Like, am I
can you use one of those
my
apps
instrument?
That you can adjust the speed or the key? Can you adjust the key by like less
I mean,
than
I can
a
pull
tone?
it in. I could put it into Logic and do that.
Yeah,
but it's a pain. It's enough to play along with, but you're like, boy, is it me? No, it's Pearl Jam.
Oh, so they're not like tuned to the wrong pitch. They're just out of tune.
They're tuned together. They're in tune with each other. They're just tuned like to, not 440.
Oh, that's dumb and sucky.
I know. Anyway,
let's
practicing guitar.
Know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was honestly, that's the first thing I thought of because I basically don't play my guitars anymore, but, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's
a tricky one. I just saw that and I was like, "Ooh, I'm calling myself out for this because I know I should." That's like an ongoing maintenance.
Yeah.
Like I know I would see a better string life and stuff, and I just don't.
Yeah, that's true. I think I don't really. I also find that I don't maintain my guitars very much, but they've. Do you find this like? Do your guitars need less of the like twice a year workover once they've had a few years? You know what I mean? I feel like that's the thing. Like guitars kind of settle.
I think they settle.
Yeah.
I also think it's a little bit of your perceived like familiarity. Because if you're playing the same guitar every single day through the course of a year, it will change, but you may not notice it because it's incremental. You know what I mean? But I've got other guitars that I pick up after 2 or 3 months of maybe not playing, and I'm like, ooh, I can't tell if I left it in this condition.
Yeah.
And thought it was okay then, or if it has changed.
It might matter
both.
too that like the climate control except right now when my AC was broken today, but like the climate control stays pretty under, like the humidity is very managed. Like I have my house is only like 5 years old, right? So it's like, now I'm in this very stable environment. So that probably made a big difference too compared to before.
And most of my guitars are in the basement where it's very consistent as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then, I'll kind of tinker with a guitar for a little bit and it's like not much to get it back to kind of where I like it,
That's how I felt like when I do pick up a guitar, like, it needs to be tuned, but after that it's like fine. And I haven't made any adjustments to any of my guitars in years. And they're like really stable. So and I feel like I used to
a
need
bunch
to
of
do
other
that.
stuff.
So that makes me wonder, though, is that because am I getting away with something because I don't play them very much? I mean, that's the thing. Like, but when years ago, when I was like playing at practice all the time and playing at shows, maybe that's the crazy lifestyle, the crazy guitar lifestyle that made the guitar need adjustment.
So what you're saying is if you want your guitars in really good condition is to not play them.
Wall art is what your guitars should be, and then guess what? They always, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. I think it's again, you're just a little more in tune with that kind of stuff. Like you'll notice. I just said you won't notice, but I feel like you'd show up to a gig, and you could tell if the intonation's not right, and you can have a little screwdriver with you, and you can just fix it. But stuff like neck relief.
Oh God, I don't think I would touch that at a gig. Is that what we're describing?
The neck? I would not touch the neck at a gig.
I wouldn't touch my saddles. I wouldn't touch anything.
I would touch the saddles if it was like shockingly bad.
Okay, yeah.
But
I mean, I suppose there's a threshold, right? Where if it's like I can't play this, but if it's like out a little bit, a gig is
out a little bit. Nobody can.
Yeah, exactly. The gig's not the place anybody's going to care about. So it's like I'm not going to go make an adjustment that possibly screws something up.
Yeah, no. No, that's jazz, baby. No, I wouldn't mess with that stuff really. Like, but then if it was such a glaring issue, like something must have happened, I wouldn't have brought that guitar. Like something must have happened on the way to the gig.
Right, because you would have noticed before. Just general like music production. So here's a way to think about it. Like stuff like, when I'm recording, like literally making somebody tune between every single take, I'm usually pretty on top of that. But there are times when I would not be. And there are times when like the scales change, like the gig I was talking, like this giant session I'm talking about, I would normally phase check all the drum set mics and things like that. And I would be checking, are my overheads correct so that my snare image is pure center? And I would be checking, can I reverse the polarity on something there to make sure the kick drum and the snare and everything is kind of hitting the overheads all at the same time, or at least in the right polarity with each other. All these basic things. I didn't do any of that shit on the day. It was like,
and is that because
I have signal and it's reasonably in the zone for level, because it was literally like, I have to just go by experience. I know that if I put the mic near here, and if I use this preamp, like I EQ'd a kick drum because that's the preamp I always use with the kick drum. I set the EQ without even listening to it before he'd even played a note. I never looked back at it. I was like, this is what's happening. All I adjusted was the gain to make everything in the right level, and I moved on. I would normally have done way more, but I didn't have the opportunity to take the time.
I think you just answered my question. I was going to say, is that because you were too busy and forgot, or were too busy and didn't have the attention and time?
It was 31 microphones. Like, no way. If I do a drum set and it's like, if I thoroughly mic a drum set and it's like 10 mics, you know what I mean? Like, I will take the time to go in and zone out all that stuff. We'll adjust is the snare mic working, and truthfully, the more I do this, the more my first guess at the mic position is correct.
This is that thing we were talking about like a month or two ago. That was like the difference in someone's experience costing money, right? Like that's what that is.
It's like I can fiddle around with it, or I can just go, okay, I know this is going to get me close enough in a situation where we have no time. You know what I mean? There's just too much to fuss about little stuff like that. Like literally, and I'm sorry to the engineers in Nashville that this recording is going to be passed on to, who are going to sift through it and mix it. But like, I didn't have the time or the inclination to phase align the mics and the drums. So you're going to have to mess with that, you know, and there are software ways of dealing with it. So it's fine. It's, you know, would it have been better to really spend the time? Yeah, but like I didn't have the time. You know, the drummer's setting up and everybody's rehearsing and I need to get all these mics up. So there's like, you know, the difference between, okay, we're doing a guitar part over and over again in a song and I'm tuning. Sometimes I'm tuning between takes. Sometimes I'm tuning between, like we're working on 3 bars or 4 bars and I'm tuning every time. Or like the weird thing where sometimes a guitar is just not going to get, this chord is going to be not in tune, right? And
so you just tune for that chord real quick.
For that chord, and we punch in that chord and then we tune it back to normal, or we save that for the end or something. That sort of stuff that I definitely do when I have the time, but there are sessions where you don't. So I don't know. I guess that's an analogy for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite like you skip it because you're lazy.
Yeah.
Like I skip wiping my strings down because I'm lazy and like I just, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't have a good reason to not do it. But those are good reasons to not do that stuff when there's 30 other people that are like whose time is worth something.
I mean,
right?
I could take it a step further and say like best practice is that I should change to all new drum heads and all new strings on all the instruments before we make a recording. Right? And I have never insisted on that from any band. Like I've had bands that asked me and I'm always like, how much is it worth to you? You know what I mean? That's an expensive thing to do too, not just the time
for drums,
commitment. I mean, for drums, especially bass, I mean, what if I've heard of bands that change their strings between the recording of every song.
All right.
Exactly. Like, that is my reaction. Exactly. Like, are you like really? And it's that. So, I mean, oh God, imagine being like that. Changing to a new set of strings. Like if you're making like 6 songs, for example, in a studio session over the course of a week.
No. And like
come on. I don't know.
Sure. Strings aren't that expensive. Guitar strings aren't that expensive, but like, I don't know. I would pick a nicer string, I think.
Yeah,
and not change them 6 times.
Right. I just it would be.
I would not be getting.
There's the break-in period and stuff too. Like strings are not. It's not like you tune up a string and it's like the first note you play sounds the best and the second note you play sounds a little worse and so on. That's not the way strings work either when you set them up. Oh, there's
I don't know.
What's going on?
Yeah. Matt's saying new drum heads, but you do the whole album EP. Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm down for that. I change my strings. I think it also depends on how long the project is and how long you're going to be in the studio and stuff.
And how
much you're planning on playing.
The drum heads are. Like if they're super old to begin with, then maybe it's worth it. And maybe if they're not that old, it's like, okay, you know.
Right. And for strings, like I'm going to change them before I go in because that's just how I am. But I'm not going to change them every song because like what if you, I don't know, just if you're going in to do a couple of songs, right? I'm not going to change them.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the size of the project is what I'm saying.
So Matt's saying he would change this like for metal. And you know what? It's metal people that I've heard say this, that they want to change the strings on every song. I still think that's really extreme.
A lot of that can come down to like how hard you play. Like, are you wearing them out?
Yeah, I wonder. I've never felt like the strings. See, here's my problem with that. If we're recording a song and I think that the guitar is going to sound different by the time we're done recording that song from when it did when we started recording that song in a way that is significant, I'm thinking, what? Like at that point, then I've got drift within my song recording. How am I, if I think that that's important enough to change the strings, how am I dealing with it?
Yeah, I think
Uber sweat. We're back to wiping strings down.
Sure. I mean, there's reasons to do it. I just think they're kind of on the fringe of.
I struggle thinking that it's important enough. I struggle to thinking that the degradation or the change in tone is going to be significant enough across a recording of one song. Like even if it takes you all day, Like even if you're really spending a lot of time on a complicated song and it takes you all day, I struggle with the idea that the tone would be both different enough at the beginning from the end that you want to change the strings, but not different enough that the recording is spoiled from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the level of significance is worth considering too, because when you get to the end, when you are mixed, mastered, signed, sealed, delivered, you're listening to it on Spotify, right? What then?
On your earbuds, on your cheapy earbuds, on your car that doesn't have proper stereo imaging,
on your laptop speakers.
No, like phone. It's just turn up the bass.
This pickup sounds like shit. I have such a fucking problem with that. Like, not to derail yet again, but like when I see gear demos and stuff like in my Instagram feed, and I'm like, I know you're just like pushing the pedal or the whatever it is. You're like, this is the platform to sell that to me. I'm not gonna listen for real. Like and the comments are like, oh, it sounds freaking great, man. Like, well,
you mean, so it's a YouTube video or something?
It's like, a YouTube video or an Instagram video. It's like, you're on your phone.
Now, Instagram is a real, I mean, YouTube, I watch YouTube in here on my real speakers.
Sure, I mean,
it's
and
still,
you can watch it.
YouTube
No, I mean like
I'm
watching on my phone.
Right, and like, TikTok, which is pretty much watched on phones, like.
Yeah, that kind of thing bugs me where it's like, listen to the difference in this. And it's like, no. I'm not even going to bother to go put my AirPods in or something, or connect my actual headphones with the adapter or something like that. I'm not going to do that. And it bothers me when it's like, oh, this thing sounds so great. Listen to the detail. It's like, well, did you really listen? Did you listen in a setting that allows you to really hear that stuff? Or is it just like you heard it on your laptop at the airport? Like, you got to, there's something to be said about listening environment.
Yeah.
And for this kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Oh, and your phone, like besides the phone speaker, like the phone speaker in my studio. Oh, let me tell you how great my studio makes a phone speaker sound, everybody. But that's only part of the equation. Yeah. Okay. So to give a little bit of fairness to the changing guitar on changing strings on every song thing. Mm-hmm. Because I'm thinking about sort of what Matt's saying here about it. It has been metal guys who I've seen this advice from. And I do think I'm right that like, how could the drift from one song be so important, yet the song itself is fine? But here's the thing. So the thing that I'm not saying, and I'm going to say now, is they're actually not necessarily thinking about that. Like start to the end of a song, the tone has drifted. They're thinking if we do 10 songs or 12
at the
songs,
album scale,
at the end of that, it might have drifted. And we're spending thousands on this, so I'm going to spend another $100.
Sure.
Strings,
on $100 worth of
five or 10
strings.
pairs of sets of strings. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a drop in the bucket when you're talking at scales like that, of course. Albums they're not recorded in order either, though. So like you couldn't say.
Right, but
I mean, maybe they are, but like you couldn't, it's not a practice, and you couldn't say that like.
To argue with my previous point, I'm not saying, and they're not saying that it drifts so quickly that it's a problem song to song. But
across 10 songs,
if you
it's a magnified.
All 10 songs, then there might be some drift. And so to prevent that, they're going to do it every song. Then they don't have to try to decide.
Makes it a consistent thing, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. Again, I just
every note in that whole album is within one song's recording's worth of being brand new.
Right. I mean, like how shitty do you want to get about this, right? Like, you know what I mean? Here we go.
All right.
That note
is better than whatever the next one you're going to play.
Is right. Whatever I've played after that, it has now drifted.
It's shittier. It is technically shittier. And you know what? We are advanced modern humans with technology, and we should be able to measure that and get upset about it.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
Anyway.
I think we've basically run an episode here, and I'm gonna say no to the annoying to the angry stories. Any more continuing on, I'll tell you guys about it in Discord later or something like that. And let's do some things of the week. So I'm gonna play a things of the week sound. Here we go.
You know what I want?
What do you want?
I want someone in our fan base to write us some stabs.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It's like a bump, just like a 5-second
thing the little things we use.
Yeah. But it's got like some vocal to it that announces the segment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That's
I dig
what
that.
I want. Or I mean, it doesn't have to be, but like, send in your stuff. Thing of the week.
The thing of the week theme song.
Yeah, just a little something fun, you know?
You can. All right, so that joke's gonna stay. That joke's gonna stay between us.
That's exclusive to the Discord.
Exclusive to the Discord.
That joke.
Yep, you gotta be in Discord,
Matt.
and you gotta be in Patreon, and then you can know what we're laughing
It's
about
a really
right now.
elite club of like 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
So,
all right. So,
do you have a thing?
I'm gonna have a thing here. I just literally, I'm self-conscious about not knowing how to spell it, and that's the only reason I haven't typed it into the notes yet.
Fair enough. My thing of the week is a band, but also just like a song by this band. The song "Sunshine" by Teenage Wrist, and I have like fallen head over heels for Teenage Wrist in the last little while. I have typically not done this, but on my YouTube homepage, I'll just see like a new song from some band that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And it's just a suggested.
Cool.
And actually, a lot of it's been from Epitaph Records. I don't know if they're
just marketing directly to you. Yeah.
But like, I put it on and I was like, well, the thumbnail of the video, I was like, whatever. Like, I'm not doing anything for the next 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll put this song on. And it's Teenage Wrist. I've never heard them before. And the song slaps so hard.
Yeah.
I love it. It's
vibey to our age group too, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like it's new. They've got a couple of records. I think they started in 2016 or something like that. But it feels like what teenage me would have wanted, right? It's what I wanted from rock music at that time when I was learning guitar. So it's like inherently nostalgic, but it's new, which is like a really bizarre and interesting feeling. And a few of my other favorite bands do that thing where I feel nostalgia and I feel like sort of reflective based on just like the vibe, you know, because it's straight up alternative rock. Like, I don't even know what else you would call it.
Right. And I can hear influences in there that I feel like assign the band to being somewhere at least in the zone of my age, right?
Yeah, like clearly inspired by Nirvana, right? There's a little bit of a grunge tilt to it and stuff. So I don't know. I just really like it, and I've been listening to their 2 albums so far. I don't know when the new one comes out, but I'm all in on Teenage Wrist. Yeah, go listen.
Yeah, it's cool. I heard that song. There was some chatter going on in Discord one day, and this had come up, and I think you probably pinged me in it because we were talking about.
I pinged you
because Josh mixed it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. Friend of a friend of the
brother of
the
my friend. Yeah. One of my oldest friends. One of my friends who I've been friends with the longest. Not my oldest friend, but anyway. Josh Wilbur. We're talking about it like he's some secret person. Josh Wilbur mixes a ton of stuff. If you listen to music, you've heard Josh Wilbur's mixes before. But anyway, he happened to mix this, and it was really interesting too. I commented on how loud I thought the snare drum was in the mix.
I thought so too. But I was just like whoa.
Objectively sticks out as being very loud snare drum, but the mix sounds cool, and that always sticks.
It's a cool song.
I always notice stuff like that because I think like I wouldn't have done that, and my mix would be worse because of it. You know, it's like I wouldn't
like you don't have the guts.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have the guts. When I hear Adele's vocal being all distorted, I would not in a million years have the guts to record a distorted vocal for a fucking singer
Adele.
like that. You know what I mean? And they did.
Yeah. Fuck you.
And it sounds awesome, you know, and so it's that sort of shit where it's like, man, that snare drum is like really poking out. Like there's no way I would mix it like that, but I should. Because it gives the mix a cool thing, yeah.
It's what gives it that vibe of like, this is just like raw, kind of trashy garage rock sort of feel.
Yeah.
Because it's loud and intense and in your face. And it's just like, we're about to play this song like in your fucking face. And the snare drum's saying all of that. And that's, I don't know, I think it's the vibe.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to pick we went to a show the other night. We went to a Broadway show, a Broadway and Cincinnati show. We're not in New York, but we used to have season tickets to Broadway Cincinnati. We don't have. We are conserving our funds these days, but actually we stopped during COVID and we haven't really picked it up. But we buy a couple of shows. But Moulin Rouge, the stage musical, came through, and it was super fun. There's a bunch of stuff that was different about it too. At this point I've seen a lot of plays come through there, and there was some different stuff about it from what we usually see. For one thing, there's music, like this sort of vibey semi-electronic beat kind of thing is going on the whole time before the show and during intermission. And like the stage, instead of having a curtain with like a logo, is kind of open, and there's lights and everything. There's lights in the audience. It was a very different vibe when we first started. And then some of the actors start wandering onto the stage. And they're they're dressed like we're at the club, basically. Like, and they're kind of they're very slow, and they're like in their skimpy like Moulin Rouge outfits, and they're like wandering to this.
So they're still on.
They're on, and they're just staring at everybody while they sit down and like doing another sexy pose, right? And doing this and staring at this person. And they walk over here and stare at this person for a while. And they're all...
So the show's like still on.
Right.
During intermission.
Well, actually, nobody was on stage during intermission, but before the show, everybody was there. And then that's kind of how the show started. Like one of the main characters eventually appeared.
It just rolls in.
And then it just began, you know what I mean? And
that's cool.
It was cool. And the show itself, like they're following the movie. But they're adding stuff because obviously they have to bulk it up compared to the movie. So there's a bunch more, some stuff became medleys that wasn't before, and they added a bunch more sort of more modern music that the singers perform as part of it. You know, there's like Lady Gaga's in there, Katy Perry.
Got it. Okay.
I'm forgetting CeeLo, the band that CeeLo was in.
Gnarls Barkley.
Yes, that stuff. Or was it his solo thing? Anyway, Does That Make Me Crazy? Anyway, that song was in it at some point. A bunch of stuff, tons of stuff, hip-hop songs and things all get wrapped in. So it's a little bit sort of brought modern.
Cool.
It's the sort of thing, like, because of what it is, because they're using all this like actual music and not that much original music, it's not going to win a Tony or anything like that.
Sure.
But I swear to you, the performances should have. Like, they were amazingly fantastic. The lead, the guy who plays Christian, was, I would honestly, like, top 5 singers in the world. I've seen a lot of fantastic singers do Broadway shows, unbelievably precise and
that's amazing.
And full of, and not just pure tone either, like sad, angry, happy, everything, and the spoken performance, everything about that guy. He's an absolute star. Everybody in the cast was phenomenal, and not like, and it's funny because of that, because I know it's like this story or this thing. So they're not going to win Tonys for that, but like, it's really interesting. So anyway, if that was cool, if anybody has an opportunity to see that, like it was really one of the more fun shows we've seen.
I like that you've been to this place a bunch and you've seen a lot roll through, and then like you can go and have a good time, but there's still stuff that leaves you like, holy smokes, right? That was amazing. Yeah. And you're not just like, it was a good show. It was another show at the place that we go to see shows, right? Like, and it's it can leave you still kind of like feeling it. You know?
There's so much that like the audience is so into it because it's not original music. There's so much like almost sing-along-y stuff happening, but like we don't talk.
There's the excitement of that, like, I know this song, and like that's sort of like, I can't believe they're doing this song.
And like we don't like chat during the show or anything, which but like intermission comes around and we're like, well, that guy. And Marielle's like, exactly, that fucking guy. Holy shit.
Yeah. Awesome.
And obviously like everybody kept up too, and it was just it's a wild. This is not the first time, and it won't be the last, but this is one where she like immediately like, oh, I got to follow his Instagram, and we start learning about it. And cool. He's like he's done like one other show on Broadway that was like a not a big name show, and this is like I'm like, oh my God, somebody's going to scoop that guy up.
Like you're about to watch this guy take off.
Exactly. Like if you follow this, like if you pick this, like you wouldn't know the name if I said it to you right now, but like this guy's going to have a career. It's one of those things. I feel like a lot of times some of these people are also on TV and things like that, but they're not going to be like I don't know. This guy might be, I think he's got to be just Broadway. It would be an just utter waste. Acting, it would be an utter waste to do anything else or to anyway, but he's something else. Anyway, so it was a fun show. And at Moulin Rouge, I just right now I cannot imagine how to spell it correctly, and that's why I haven't typed it into the notes. But anyway, so that's it.
Moulin.
I knew there was an I in it. ULIN. Yeah. I don't have a link for that. You can find it if you want to, obviously.
Look it up.
It's a traveling show, so it might be coming near you, and it'd be worth checking out if you like music, because it's cool.
If you like having fun and doing fun
If you
things.
like music being sung by people who are wearing very little.
There's
a lot of that happens.
Ooh,
in this show too.
If you like having a sexy time.
It is a story about a dancy whorehouse, so,
Hooers.
Okay. And now for my final trick, we're gonna just close out. We're gonna talk about the Patreons, right? Mm-hmm. So what do we got now? We've got mailing list, brand new. We've got Discord.
So new, we haven't even sent it yet.
Yeah, we've got Discord, not new, but you can find that at discord.io/tonecontrol, patreon.com/theToneControl to be a supporter of the show, which we super appreciate. And it is how we fund things like the giveaway that you got to be on that mailing list.
Sick giveaway.
It's going to be
so good.
Awesome. So very excited. Lots of things are coming together, and we're going to have a pretty awesome prize to give away here. So I'm excited about that. So
a bundle? Would you call it a bundle?
I would call it a bundle. I would. A prize bundle.
Look out.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks everybody. And the patrons this week are gonna, well, okay, here we go. I found my button. There we go. I was stalling. All right, patrons.
They're people with
whom
names.
We thank this week are Nick Greenwood, Carson Ricketts, Matthew Fenslaw, Ryzen Welf, Jamie Evans, Doug King, Big Daddy Doug, Steve Huffman, Wild and Crazy Guy, Brian Gower of the Tone Jerks Podcast, Mako Guitars, Andrew Walsh of Andrew's Alcove, Doug Christ of 37 Effects, and Sean Wright of Lollygagger Effects. And thank you. Good job.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
For real.
For reals.
For the realest of reals.
All right. See you in a couple weeks. Bye.
See ya. Bye.